Hey, what is going on, guys? Name's D Free. Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. I am not alone for this one. I am joined by the Gaming Claw. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Very exciting news for this, and there are a few differences that, of course, we are going to discuss in this video. But yeah, I'm hoping that you guys are hyped for this as much as we are. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely, no problem, man. So we're going to be talking about the 200 million downloads globally celebration, and there's a bit of a difference between the Japanese version and the global version, so we're going to do our best to basically discern that for you guys as far as the epic celebration goes. Alex, what do you have open, the Reddit or DBZ space, or both?
I have the Reddit open.
Okay, so the Reddit has the JP stuff, right?
Yeah, it has all the translation, so it's a bit easier to like just go through. Yeah,
okay. So the very first things that both of the versions are getting are the 200 million global downloads reached login bonus. I don't think there's any real indication as to what that has in it, right?
Not currently, but in a few hours we are going to find out.
Yeah, so this all begins like later today, I believe.
Yeah, it's weird because they have like so many login times now that it's just hard to keep track of it. Because there's one at like, I think it's 11 PST, and now there's one at 4 PST. So there's just so many login times. It's like, okay,
yeah, it's 8 a.m. Pacific for global, and 11, I believe, Pacific or 12 for JP. So
I think they adjusted it. Yeah, I think they adjusted it to have the two versions match up with each other. Well, and it makes sense. Yeah.
The thing is that most games refresh at that time anyway. It's just Dokkan Global was just weird. It did it at the end of the day. Most games do it in the morning.
I didn't even know that, to be honest. Yeah, I didn't realize
it's weird.
It was at such an awkward time.
Yeah, it's really weird. But both versions are getting that. They're also both getting the Mr. Right thing, right? The Bulma thing. I actually jumped to that because it's so high on JP's list, but it's really low on Global's list, so we'll get back to that. Alex, go ahead and talk about the next couple of things that JP is actually getting here.
Right, so one of the things that is going to be discussed heavily is definitely the 200 million Dragonstone challenge thing, and initially we thought that everyone would be able to get 20 Dragonstones a day for like a period of 30 days or so, I believe it was. Now here's the thing, there is actually going to be a cap to how many stones every person can get, depending on how hard people go to get these stones, of course. Because at the moment, there are specific story missions, or just, you know, missions in general, where you can go ahead and take on particular events to get 20 Dragonstones every single day for, like, a period of a month. But once each version, or both versions in total, get to 200 million Dragonstones, that is going to go away. So it's not what we initially thought it was going to be, like, where every single person will be able to get, like, 600 Dragonstones each. And it kind of makes sense now. That'd be way too generous for Bandai. But basically, once both versions reach 200 million Dragonstones achieved, it will basically stop. It does have an endpoint. It's supposed to end on the 1st of September. But if we do reach 200 million Dragonstones before that point, the missions will basically stop, which means that some people may miss out on the total amount of stones. And I suppose it's fair. I would have thought that they would have done 200 million for Japan and then 200 million for global, but it seems like they are combining both versions of the game. And it's interesting. I'm surprised they did that, but at the same time, we are getting an insane amount of stones. And I've seen a few people predict that this could potentially go on for a few days. It depends on how lazy people get, I suppose. But even if it just lasts for 2 days, you're getting, what, 200 Dragonstones for free, which is pretty damn good. It's nothing to complain about. I mean, there are a few people that aren't going to bother, because, I mean, 20 Dragonstones a day does seem like a minimal amount, but if you start building that over a period of time, you're going to be left with a ton of Dragonstones. So I'm happy with it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's clear that the big push is to try to appeal to both versions of the game from one another. They're trying to make it, look, it's a global thing, global downloads reached, which has always been the case. I mean, most of these login bonuses are like literally, hey, we reached this worldwide, right? So they're actually doing a collaborative thing, which I think this is the first time they've done something like this. So yeah, it's 20 Dragonstones a day per person. And I don't know if there's actually a cap on that. It just kind of just runs continually until worldwide, every version of the game, every translation, whatever, worldwide, until 200 million Dragonstones have been sent out. So
yeah, that's pretty much it. So there is a cap to it, which is something that wasn't said before.
Yeah, there's a 20 stone cap per day, though, to basically limit the super hardcore players from doing like 200 stones, 500 stones a day each.
Yeah, here's the thing, but by the time that gets to like towards the end of the month, like it would have been a period of time since the release of those particular banners, so maybe people will stop going as hard for those particular stones if they already pull what they wanted.
Yeah,
that's definitely a possibility.
Maybe.
I can definitely see that happening.
Definitely, yeah, that's totally plausible. So once again, just make sure you log in and play. The onus is on making sure that you are playing one version or the other, but I won't deny the fact that you could feasibly play both versions of the game and get your 20 stones a day. But the problem with that is, of course, you want to be generous to everybody else.
You're draining more stones.
Exactly, you're draining twice the amount of stones if you do that. So I wouldn't encourage it, but hey, you can do whatever you want to do. It is what it is.
I mean, here's the thing, because Japan is most likely going to go past this, of course, because on Global, they are most likely going to release the 120% leads, but maybe in a different order, maybe like once a month, or maybe they will just save them for a different time. They might change them. But we know for a fact that JP is definitely going to advance beyond this point, so you could prioritize JP for the new stuff, or you could just stick with Global and just get a decent amount of stones for what you want in the future, because Cooler's a good unit, Gogeta's a really good unit as well, and to be honest, all the 120 leads are good, but there are definitely some that stick out more than others, and the biggest problem that I found on JP, and a lot of people found, is that with particular leads, no one used, despite pulling them, and I think that's a thing that they should definitely fix with the friend system. There should always be a particular lead available to you if you are using that particular lead. You know the Dokkan speed thing, where it has a set of leads that you can use?
Mm-hmm.
They should definitely have something like that, just for regular Dokkan events, because if your only lead is someone like Kid Buu or Super 17, like, he is basically useless because no one else uses him, and it's a shame because you may have spent a decent amount of money trying to get this particular unit, and it's just like, oh, I can't even use him.
Yeah.
And that was a thing that wasn't really a problem with the original God leads, but I think because they have like twice as many God leads now, it's like people tend to use one or two more than the others, and it kind of I think it's a bit unfair on players that do want to go for a particular unit, but maybe they'll change that in the future. But for now, I would recommend just going for the units that definitely stand out the most and the ones that are going to be summoned for the most.
Yeah, definitely. Well, on top of that, we have another campaign going on, the 200 million Dragonstone Challenge, which once again is a worldwide thing. It wait, is that no? That's the same thing, right? Oh, no, it's weird because it has that Goku's icon on there, the Spirit Bomb Goku, but there's another one down there for the Hercule saying you get 20 a day. I wonder if that's like a campaign for Facebook and Twitter. Probably so.
I think it is. Yeah. Because didn't they say that they were going to redistribute that Spirit Bomb Goku?
Yes.
And if we reach a certain point, we're going to get the medals as well.
Yeah, so he has his own campaign that's part of this as well, I imagine. But on top of that, they also have the global/international version versus the Japanese version, which is part of this as well. But that only runs for like 4 days, and I believe that one is what more missions run. Whoever wins by playing more missions, you get the Yamcha or the Vegeta.
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar to the crossover event that we had with One Piece, but it'll be interesting to see how the event is going to be, because a lot of people have been saying that it's going to be easier for Japan because they have better units, but I think it's going to be more of a grindy thing instead of just a hard event, because the crossover event was easy, right? But there was a bit of conspiracy going on there. People thought that the whole crossover thing was fixed, so I don't know if they're going to do something like this with Dokkan. I hope not, because I'm definitely going to be playing for Global rather, and I feel like JP is at a massive disadvantage because in comparison to Global, there are just so many more people playing it, so I don't know why they would do this in particular. You know what I mean?
JP is at a massive disadvantage. It's JP versus the rest of the world.
You have a country the size of California versus the entire world. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, it seems kind of fishy to me because it feels like from the start they kind of knew that Global was going to win, so I don't know if that was their intention or... It'll be interesting to see. I mean, JP could make a massive comeback if everyone just like played, but I would imagine that the majority of the players that have both versions are going to play Global.
Yeah, probably so. I am, for sure. Now, this is where it gets a little bit different. Of course, both versions have the Dragonstone sale, which is cool. I don't know if they're exactly the same, but You'll see it whenever that drops, of course. It gets a little bit different here because the dual Dokkan Fest and the regular Dokkan Fest are different, as they should be, because JP just has a larger unit pool. But they're different, and you talked about it. I don't see any indication about a ticket on Global, but JP has that in their news. You want to elaborate on the ticket thing?
Yeah, it's really weird because we did get some information from the V-Jump leaks stating that JP is going to get a ticket ban, and I mean that's expected, right? Because we have pretty much had every single 120% lead, so it's expected that they're going to release something like this again.
Yeah, another one of those God banners.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, it's actually going to turn into a stone banner after, so it's a good way of getting all the leads, but of course I would imagine that the rates are going to be just as bad as the previous God banner once it does turn into stones. But the thing about Global is that if you go into the DBZ space items, and there is actually a ticket there, but we don't know how that is going to work. And there is absolutely no information regarding that over on the Global News. So yeah. I don't know if you will have to summon on a particular banner to go ahead and get these tickets, or if they are just distributed to you in some way. It's weird how they didn't elaborate on that. And keep in mind, this is supposed to come out in a few hours. So
yeah, well, keep in mind that there's a difference here because, of course, we can't, even though it's a collaborative thing, we cannot deny the fact that the Japanese version is like 5 months ahead content-wise.
Way ahead.
So they have the ability to do something like that, whereas on on Global, their God banner wasn't even that long ago, right? So there has to be a cool-off period between the two because they're doing it based off the stones that you spent. We don't know the exact period, but Global's at a clear disadvantage when it comes to that. So maybe they'll just, give them out. Like you said, maybe you do them from summons or whatever. But that banner with Vegito, Blue, and Rose, of course, that one is their 200 million Dokkan Festival banner. JP has Rage Trunks featured and Merge Zamasu probably going to be on there.
Super Saiyan 4s as well.
Super Saiyan 4s, Rose. So it looks like they're implying that Gogeta and Omega will be the hero villain leads with those banners. But it just seems to me like there's like no incentive to summon on that banner on Global, like at all.
And here's the thing, like we legit just had these units like not too long ago, like what, around 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I mean, it's a good opportunity if you didn't end up pulling them, but I don't see the Super Saiyan 4s returning this soon.
That's why they didn't. That's why on JP they are, but they're not on Global. They're not featured again because their banners are currently live.
Can you imagine if Global just pulled like the biggest arse pull ever and just said that every single ticket that you get is from when you started playing up until this point?
That'd be nice. But, I mean, what do you mean ass pull? I mean, this is an ass pull now. When the moment when you realize that the 2 years was a trap banner.
Exactly. The 2 years was a trap banner. You know what? This entire Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and Omega Shenron was just a trap banner. They are going to drop LR Vegito and he's going to be featured.
That's another thing, actually. LR Vegito is not a part of the news on Global. So that's coming eventually.
Going to drop after this.
Yeah, he's
100%. I'm actually surprised he's not part of this.
See, and the problem with this is that, like I said, it puts Global in a flux because I don't know what they are going to do with the rest of the 120 leads at this point. There's not going to be very much incentive. Maybe there's more incentive, maybe because there's new hero and villain leads. It just seems like to me on Global they're ahead of their time.
It's so soon though. We just had Vegito, Blue, and Rose.
And I kind of wonder how hard these stages will be too, because they can't be super hard on Global because they don't have all those leaders yet.
Or maybe this is like their way of making the events harder for Global and making up for the fact that the events were super easy over
but Global gets shafted until they get new God leads, kind of. Unless you pull these guys, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to see. So
like,
we've done a lot of videos on those two. So
yeah, in before, they have no leader skill. It's just just the card. No leader skill, just the passive,
I wouldn't mind that.
Super attack. It'll be interesting.
I wouldn't mind it.
Definitely would be interesting.
Leader skills are the cancer of the game, so it is what it is.
Really? Yeah, they really are.
So aside from that, the only other thing that I think that's really happening different, there's a legendary challenge campaign. I don't think that's on JP. Oh, no, it is. Okay.
I think it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing on it, though.
And then the Dokkan events are coming back at half stamina. There's a Kai banner, and that's the only other thing.
What are they doing? So this is supposed to come out like 6 days or so after the banner drops for whatever reason. But on Global, you get 5 Kais for 25 stones. On JP, you get 10 Kais for 50 stones. So I don't know if they are allowing Global to get 5 Kais for every time they use 25 stones, or if this is just going to be a one-time thing. But for JP, it's most likely going to be at the 10 Kais, and that's done, over and done with. But I don't know why they went with the 5 Kais for the global version. Maybe it's because we recently had one drop recently. It really doesn't make any sense to me. But I definitely think it should be something that drops at least once a month, just because it allows players to level up the super attack of the units that, maybe at super attack 1. Because Kais can be pretty damn hard to come by if you don't summon on the type banners, which haven't really come to global frequently, especially when they drop 2. And JP, of course, they do drop 2 Kais per multi-summon, which is crazy. So, essentially, you are maxing out a unit in, 4 or 5 multis, and, regularly, you can farm some Kais from the barbershop. That's just such a grind for some people. You may need, 300 gems for 1 Kai, which is just a massive grind. And I definitely think they should revamp just the entire gem system, make it... give it an easier way to obtain those gems, or maybe just... have a system in place where you can buy the gems to make it easier for some people. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's pretty much it. We've gone over all the info. Like I said previously in the video, I myself have put up videos over the course of the last couple of days talking about Gogeta and Omega. Didn't want to really go too deep into that. Of course, Alex has as well. So you guys make sure you subscribe to him. Link will be in the description. Any other further statements here, man, before we get out of here?
Here's the thing. Will Gogeta get the debuff? Or the buff, rather. The buff.
Yeah, will he get a buff? I talked about that.
You made a video on that, didn't you?
Yeah, I talked about it. Could he get different link skills? Maybe they change his passive. Maybe let him counter everything. Maybe they make him super effective against everything like Gogeta traditionally is. I don't know. But as is, definitely, it's weird. As is, man, Omega is his passive is so much better. It doesn't make any sense. It's weird because Gogeta debuffs only extreme types. Omega debuffs everything for the exact same rate. They both get 120 out. Omega has so much better attack links. Omega gets an additional attack in while Gogeta has an RNG-based counter. It's literally so one-sided. It doesn't make sense. And then to make it worse, Gogeta has one attack link that's actually usable most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see why. So I don't see why they didn't just drop the counter mechanic.
Yeah, and last thing, Omega has a built-in buddy, SHENRON. They get 55% on global and 65 on JP because Brutal Beatdown is no longer a 500 attack link. It's a 10% link. So
they haven't changed it. Have they changed it on global yet?
They have not changed it on global yet. No. So literally, it's one-sided on both versions of the game. I don't know how this works. I don't know how this works. So
you would expect him to be so much stronger than Omega Shenron.
Yeah, I don't know. Right? Maybe they'll do some changes. I mean, I think honestly, maybe they increase his attack to 150 up, and maybe that compensates for it. Or like I said, maybe they give him the Vegito counter normal attacks and super attacks, kind of. But I think super effective regardless of attack links because he kind of needs Saiyan Roar. But on Monotech, which is where he'd be his best offensively and defensively, it's not really usable unless you run that Bardock. So I don't really know. We'll see if he gets the buff.
Yeah. Do you think they did that to just make it easier to run a tech team?
I think that's why he has Over in a Flash, yes, because it fits the character.
Yeah.
But I think that they didn't give him Saiyan Roar because, one, he had to have 5 or 6 of those links automatically because of the character that he is. Kamehameha, Fused Fighter, GT. He had to have those.
That's true.
But I think that they didn't give him Saiyan Roar mainly for heroes because I think he's a hero lead, and I think that they just don't want him, Goku, and Vegeta just wrecking house.
That's a good point. But here's the thing about heroes, and when it comes to key links as well, you can legit just run a double Trunks lead or something, and you're going to get 12 key 99.9% of the time.
This character has literally 4 different key links. So
and when you run both,
and he doesn't even have prepared for battle either. That's the funny thing. He has 4 and he doesn't have prepared for battle. So I don't know what they're gonna do with this guy. He's definitely incredible, but I just
he's good. Yeah,
it's just
underwhelming.
Man, he's underwhelming in comparison to Omega. That's the problem. And Omega hits 400,000 more damage or something. It's absurd, man.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing Gogeta does have over Omega is the crit, or the free crit ability. Even that, I don't think it's enough to make up for it.
I don't think it is, because Omega gets that free additional attack.
Here's a question.
I don't know.
Is Omega Shenron better than Super Gogeta?
Intelligence? I'd say so.
Yeah, because he can. It's easier to debuff with him as well. You don't have to super
I actually
attack.
think both of these units are better than Super Gogeta. I think that this guy, Gogeta, is really good too. He gets that attack and defense increase of 50% actually every super attack. He's really good. I don't know. We'll see.
If they are going last thing, if they are going to buff anything, I think it's going to be that increase from his super attack.
Make it from greatly to massive. I was actually getting confused with those two originally, so I was saying 100, but it's actually 50. If they give him a massive increase for one turn, attack and defense, I think that compensates. And maybe change him to 150 up on the passive and keep him the same otherwise, and he's good enough.
And it was weird because when we initially saw the cards, it was like, wow, why is Omega better than Gogeta? And they still have time to change the cards, of course. And because there is such a period, there's basically a period of time between now and release of the actual cards, they still have time to change them. And when we saw those particular cards, the leader skills weren't even there. So maybe they were still a work in progress.
When we saw them. Yeah, that's for sure. The leader skills were absent. They weren't done.
So it would be interesting to see what the final cards look like. I would expect that they will try to make the hero come on top again, just because it's the hero, of course. But I definitely did have higher expectations. I was honestly expecting Gogeta to have like a double super attack mechanic implemented, just because of what happened in the show. But I suppose we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. Well, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to both of the channels. Once again, Alex is in the description. And that's it. Let us know which of the two you are more hyped for. Regardless of our little banter just there about Gogeta and Omega, it really doesn't matter, man. You go for what you want. Go for what fits your box best. Both of them are incredible. Definitely going to be the best two units in the game, aside from LRs, of course. For a long time.
You're going to roast everything.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, have an awesome day. We'll catch you guys later. Peace out.
See ya.